Alright, what's going on YouTube? Today we're gonna take a look at trinkets. Everyone gets one every game, but keeping the same trinket for the entire game is likely a mistake. Let's take a look at why this is the case. First, we'll analyze the trinket options we have prior to level 9, since most players should change their trinket at that point. We have two options, red trinket and yellow trinket. The red trinket summons a drone at the target location for 6 seconds, from 500 to 2000 range based on level. The drone warns against unseen enemies, including stealth enemies, very important, fog and brush, as well as revealing and disabling wards and invisible traps within a 450 to 575, based on level again, radius area, with a 90 to 60 second cooldown based on the level. On the other hand, the yellow trinket consumes a charge to place an invisible stealth ward, which reveals the surrounding area for 60 to 120 seconds based on level. It stores one charge every 180 to 90 seconds based on your level again, up to a maximum of 2 charges. These wards are exactly equal to the sidestone wards, with a difference in the time that they last based on the level. So basically, as far as early game is concerned, if you need to ward things, you should get the yellow trinket, and if you need to get rid of wards, then you get the red trinket. Now, usually on the channel, we've covered only the ADC role in particular, but in this video, we'll discuss every role, since trinkets aren't particularly rocket science. So we'll list every position, and we'll make sure to point out what trinket they should get at what point in the game. And since in the early game, supports or junglers haven't built sidestone yet, it's really important to ward yourself to make sure that you don't get ganked by your jungler, or to ward the enemy jungle to make sure you know where the jungler's about, or to make sure that your jungler can enter the jungle and counter jungle the enemy jungler. I just said jungler a bunch of times. Anyway, usually you would start with the yellow trinket because of this. There is not that much vision in the early game, and the vision that's needed is usually very defensive to make sure that you don't get ganked. So like we said, everyone should start yellow trinket because it's the best defensive option in the early game. However, as the game progresses and supports get sidestones, for example, so will some junglers, but as supports get sidestones, it's important to note that the stealth wards from sidestone count towards the same counter as the ones from the yellow trinket. This means that the total amount of wards you can put from your yellow trinket coincides with the sidestone one, and you don't really want that. So the only option you have is the red trinket. I mean, it's the one that makes the most sense anyways, right? Because you have to clear the wards that the enemy support is putting down as well. So first change, supports, red trinket as soon as they get their sightstone. I mean, this also goes for junglers. If a jungler builds sightstone, then he should get rid of his yellow trinket as soon as he gets the sightstone. It goes kind of without saying. But other than that, if it's a jungler that really relies on positioning when he goes to gank, then he should change to the red trinket on his first back to make sure that the next ganks are profitable. And that's pretty much about it for the early game. It's really uninteresting. The fun part comes when we hit level 9 and recall. What trinket should we get? Let's do the same analysis, but for the post level 9 trinkets. At level 9, the store allows us to buy 3 different kind of trinkets. The same yellow one, a new updated red one, and a different blue one. Just as a little disclaimer, we can also get the old red one, but we don't really want to get that one because the new red one is pretty much an upgrade from the original red one that we get at pre-9. The yellow one we won't discuss again. It's exactly the same as the old one. The difference is that as you level up, it gets a lot better, becoming by level 18 into basically a mini sidestone. The new updated red one summons a drone that escorts you for the next 10 seconds. The drone wards against unseen enemies, including stealth, just like the other one, as well as revealing and disabling wards and invisible traps within a 660, 690, 720, 550 radius area. It has a 76 to 60 cooldown based on the level. So it's basically the old one, but it follows you around as you move instead of being static in one place. This is great because it will allow you to cover more area and take care of more wards than you would have with the original red one. The blue one reveals an area up to 4,000 units away. That is very far away for 2 seconds, with a 148 to 99 based on level second cooldown. Enemy champions' hit will be revealed for 5 seconds. This does not affect stealth champions though. It also places a visible far side ward at the target location that lasts indefinitely. The far side ward is really what makes Blue Trinket just insane. If no one walks through the bush that is warded, you have 100% uptime on your vision as long as someone walks around. So they're very easy to kill, but if you litter around your jungle and other areas that haven't been trafficked or people don't go through very often, it's very easy to pass through very safe bushes or little roads to, say for example, CS or get to a team fight without having to make sure to worry about assassins, for example. So we'll do the same analysis with these 3 trinkets, starting with the easiest roles, which should be jungle and support. Now, since the new red one is an upgrade from the old red one, of course support and jungle must change their previous red trinkets to the updated red trinkets. Pretty simple, it's just an upgrade basically. Another simple one is always going to be ADC. On ADC you always want the blue trinket because having range to ward is very important. If you want to take a side wave, for example, in one of the side lanes, you want to make sure that you're safe when you're farming. You can't really farm that well if you're unsafe, so making sure that on a really big range you can ward something very far away. So blue trinket is always very important. Another strong contender for blue trinket is the mid lane. Now, most often than not, in the mid lane you see very squishy champions. So taking a long range vision tool is just as important as with an ADC. However, on specific champions that tend to roam a lot, or if you plan to roam a lot, you should take the red trinket to make sure that you're not walking over wards, because if you walk over a ward and then your roam is not effective, your opponent can push you out of lane and you might end up losing CS. So if you want to make sure that that doesn't happen, then get a red trinket. In the top lane it gets a little bit funky though. Notice that in all the positions we've pretty much just phased out the yellow trinket. Well, that's not necessarily the case on top lane. Top lane is a very isolated lane. Well, kind of, but let's just say it is, because it features champions that sometimes want to go completely solo and try to push as much as possible, say for example Jax or Irelia. So with that in mind, those guys might actually want to keep their yellow trinket, because sometimes when you're split pushing, you want 2 places warded at the same time. Blue trinket cannot allow you to do that, because you can only put 1 at a time, and if it gets taken out, since it has no stealth, it's very easy to take it out. You're pretty much left without vision. If, however, you're not planning on split pushing, then blue trinket becomes just like the other ones, just the best option. The ward would never die unless they take it out, of course, but it's basically the best option overall. On the other hand, if you're doing a more supportive role in the top lane and you notice that your team's not on top of things when it comes to getting rid of vision, you should definitely take the red trinket. Usually if you're playing the top laner, then you're playing a champion that's pretty tanky, so you can kind of venture out into the enemy jungle and take out their own wards, if you can see the map rotations are done in a way in which they would allow you to venture into the enemy jungle and know that you're safe being there. And that would be all 5 positions. Finally, I would like to add a little bit of advice when it comes down to using these trinkets. For example, on the red trinket, regardless of which one it is, try to keep it for really big, high traffic areas that you know will get warded often. For example, the bushes entering the river, or in front of the dragon and the Baron pit. Those areas are usually very contested because they have neutral objectives. So make sure that you're often using your trinket, but especially try to guess where the enemy might ward and use the trinket in those places. On the other hand, treat your yellow trinket once you hit level 9 like if it were a sidestone. Like I said, not a lot of players will keep yellow trinket because it's better to be safer with the blue one. So if you're using the yellow trinket, try to use it as if you were using a sidestone, for example. And since I happen to play AD carry more often than not, the blue trinket is the one I'm best well versed in. Now, a lot of people try to hold their blue trinket to make sure that they use it at a specific time or a place which they need warded. I'm actually against that. I think you should use the blue trinket as soon as you have it, to just litter everything in your jungle or in the enemy jungle, since you'll notice by the end of the game, warding a lot tends to go a long way if the wards have no health. That means if the wards are infinite, basically. So if you ward someplace in your jungle and your jungle isn't getting destroyed very often, then you pretty much know that no one's in that bush, and that gives you a lot of information. Remember, the trinkets and wards in general are not only about seeing enemies, but they're also about, and most importantly, seeing where they are not. So you can use a route or traverse through somewhere that would otherwise be dangerous. And that's pretty much about it. Like I said, trinkets aren't necessarily rocket science, but in Platinum I see this very often happening. People don't know what to get, or they just keep the yellow trinket for the entire game without really analyzing why they're doing so. Let me know about another topic that you would like to see covered in this guide series. Follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and all that good other stuff. Links will be in the description. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye.